Thank you, Mr. President. As you well know, there are 4 Americans in Iran, 3 held on trumped-up charges, according to your administration, and 1 whereabouts unknown. Can you tell the country, sir, why you are content with all the fanfare around this deal to leave the conscience of this nation and the strength of this nation unaccounted for in relation to these 4 Americans? And last week, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said under no circumstances should there be any relief for Iran in terms of ballistic missiles or conventional weapons. It is perceived that that was a last-minute capitulation in these negotiations. Many in the Pentagon feel you've left the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff hung out to dry. Could you comment?
I got to give you credit, Major, for how you craft those questions. The notion that I'm content as I celebrate with American citizens languishing in Iranian jails? Major, that's nonsense.
Nope, it wasn't nonsense, but it was intense. President Obama bristling yesterday at that question from Major Garrett of CBS News. Now, nobody likes criticism, least of all this president, but you don't have to look far to see why the question was so pertinent, even though our commander-in-chief thought it was so impertinent. Remember the Rose Garden treatment accorded the parents of Bo Bergdahl? It was hailed as a great moment by this administration, even though it was more than passing curious that Bergdahl's bewhiskered dad chose to address his son's captors in their native Urdu. Subsequently, we discovered that this president had traded 5 terror masterminds, committed jihadists, for 1 American deserter. Now, Mr. Obama is leery of linking the fate of 4 Americans held by Iran with that dubious nuclear agreement fashioned by John Kerry. Speaking of dubious, so is the logic employed by the president to justify why he did not insist upon the release of those 4 Americans as part of this overall agreement with Iran.
Now, if the question is why we did not tie the negotiations to their release, think about the logic that that creates. Suddenly Iran realizes, you know what, maybe we can get additional concessions out of the Americans by holding these individuals.
Candidate Obama in 2008 was lauded as the king of cool. But President Obama in 2015 has been exposed as hypersensitive, indulgent of our enemies, and insistent that giving them the advantage does not put us at a disadvantage. In short, it is fantasy. But here's a little more of it.
It makes it much more difficult for us to walk away if Iran somehow thinks that a nuclear deal is dependent in some fashion on the nuclear deal. And by the way, if we had walked away from the nuclear deal, we'd still be pushing them just as hard to get these folks out. That's why those issues are not connected. But we are working every single day to try to get them out, and won't stop until they're out and rejoined with their families.
For the record, those 4 Americans remain in Iranian captivity, not knowing when or if they'll see their families again. Now, Bo Bergdahl is not with his family either. He's facing desertion charges. But the Taliban 5, well, they're all back with their families and back plotting terror attacks. And in short order, Iran will have nuclear missiles. So ask yourself, what will become of mom, dad, and the kids? You know what sociologists used to call the American nuclear family? And as you contemplate that, you'll be forgiven if you bristle at the president a bit more than he bristled at Major Garrett yesterday. And that's the way I see it. A quick check of social media first to Guts Up Marine, writing in yesterday about the meeting between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. He wrote, "Now, I'm not privy to what was said in the meeting between the Donald and Ted Cruz. I'm staying with my original prediction with you, JD. I know that Ted is the only candidate that backed Mr. Trump over this Mexico thing. I still feel that the Republican presidential candidate will be from Texas or Wisconsin. Well, we'll see." Thanks for your comments. Keep them coming. A program note, I will be away from this desk tomorrow night. Rick Blackwell will be here. I'll be on assignment, pursuing some of the Republican candidates who are pursuing the presidency. Stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.